The ghost ship of the South Seas, the mystery of the SS Aorong Medan. Picture this, the sun beating down on a calm stretch of ocean, the air heavy and still. A freighter sails quietly across the waters of the Strait of Malacca. It's the late 1940s, and World War II has ended only a few years earlier. Merchant ships, naval patrols, and smugglers all crisscross the region. But on this day, a chilling SOS crackles across the radios of nearby vessels. The message is short, distorted, almost frantic. All officers, including the captain, dead, lying in chat room and bridge. Possibly whole crew dead. And then, after a long pause, a final phrase is whispered. I die. The signal was traced to a ship calling itself the SS Aorong Medan, a Dutch freighter no one had really heard of before. The message was picked up by multiple ships in the region, including an American merchant vessel known as the Silver Star. Following maritime law and basic decency, the Silver Star set a course toward the reported location, hoping to save survivors. When they spotted the freighter, the Aorong Medan seemed to drift silently, eerily still. No movement on deck. No response to hails or signals. Against every instinct, a boarding party climbed aboard. What they found was the stuff of nightmares. Bodies everywhere. Crew members were sprawled across the decks, the engine room, the bridge. Their faces were twisted in pure terror, eyes wide open, mouths frozen in silent screams. Some lay on their backs, arms outstretched, as if trying to ward off something invisible. Others were found clutching their chests, as though they had suffered sudden heart failure. But there was something even stranger, no signs of struggle, no wounds, no blood. Just a ship full of corpses, locked in horrifying expressions. Even the ship's dog was found dead, bared teeth snarling at nothing. The temperature inside the vessel felt unnaturally cold, far below the tropical heat outside. Some sailors later swore it was like stepping into a freezer. The boarding crew was shaken, but they prepared to tow the vessel back to port so authorities could investigate. They never got the chance. As preparations were underway, smoke began to rise from below deck. Within minutes, flames engulfed the hold. The rescuers barely had time to cut their lines and retreat before the Aorong Medan erupted in a massive explosion. The freighter split apart and sank beneath the waves, taking with it every body, every clue, every secret. All that remained was the haunting distress call and the shaken testimony of the sailors who had stepped aboard. So what happened on the SS Aorong Medan? Over the decades, theories have multiplied like shadows. Some suggest the ship was carrying hazardous chemicals, possibly leftover weapons from the war, illegally transported through tropical waters. A leak in the hold could have suffocated the crew or poisoned them, leaving the rescuers to board just before the explosion destroyed the evidence. A faulty boiler system might have leaked carbon monoxide throughout the ship, causing mass suffocation. The crew, gasping for air, collapsed with expressions of terror. The fire could have been caused by the unstable boilers themselves. Of course, legends go further. Some whisper of a supernatural presence aboard the ship, ghosts, curses, or something pulled from the abyssal depths of the sea. The fact that the bodies were frozen in such fright has fueled tales of malevolent spirits, or even extraterrestrial encounters. One of the most persistent theories is that the Aorong Medan was smuggling dangerous cargo, nerve agents, or even experimental weapons. According to this version, the explosion was no accident but a deliberate destruction to cover up evidence. But here's where things get even stranger. Despite dozens of retellings, no official records of the SS Aorong Medan exist. Shipping registries don't list it. Maritime archives in the Netherlands contain no trace of such a vessel. Some reports place the incident in 1947, others in 1948. Even the name itself, Aong Medon, means man from Medan, a city on the island of Sumatra. But no firm documentation has ever been produced. So, was the Aong Medon a ghost ship in more ways than one? The most famous account comes from a 1952 article in the U.S. Proceedings of the Merchant Marine Council, which summarized earlier newspaper reports. But those newspaper sources, many of them vanished over time. Some claimed to have interviewed survivors of the rescue attempt, but their names were never verified. In some versions, the Silver Star is not mentioned at all, replaced by vague American vessels. In others, the boarding party found not just bodies but strange cargo, mysterious containers of deadly gas. The deeper you dig, the murkier the story becomes. So what's the truth? On one hand, the details of the story, the chilling last words, the terrified corpses, the explosion, are too vivid, too consistent across decades, to dismiss entirely. Something may indeed have happened in the Strait of Malacca, some maritime tragedy that was later exaggerated into legend. On the other hand, the lack of hard evidence, no ship registry, no official reports, no wreckage, strongly suggests the tale was embellished, or perhaps even invented as a cautionary ghost story for sailors. The most likely explanation: the SS Aong Medon was never a real ship, but a blend of rumor, wartime paranoia, and seafaring superstition. Yet the mystery endures because it taps into something primal, our fear of the unknown, the deep ocean, and what might be waiting in the silence of abandoned ships. Whether fact or fable, the SS Aong Medon remains one of the most chilling maritime mysteries ever told. A ghost ship that may never have existed, but one that continues to haunt the imaginations of sailors, storytellers, and listeners alike. And perhaps that's the real power of the tale. Not whether it's true, but whether you believe. Thank you for listening.